Today, no Ezekiel Elliott, no Amari Cooper.
They cut him?
No practice.
Oh, they weren't at practice.
Weren't at practice.
Okay.
Holdouts, maybe. I don't know. Elliott was not. I did not see Elliott at all. Amari Cooper was there, but did not practice. Blake Jarwin was there and did not practice. Zach Martin, I did not see. And then Tristan Hill was on the courts, and Tank Lawrence was on the courts. A couple of guys that were limited when how they practiced were Lyle Collins and Tyron Smith. Limit what they were able to do. And then Dak Prescott just threw drills and 7-on-7. We had talked about that as a plan for how we felt like that they were going to go forward with him. But I'll tell you what, I mean, it was a good day. I mean, let me just, if I could.
Can I ask about Dak, though?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to just kind of ramble and wreck there.
No, you're good. What does it protect him from, or why do 7v7 instead of a regular?
I just think that they're trying to just get him acclimated into getting, there were still, the period he ran, the 7-on-7 stuff, the coverage was good to the point where there was receivers not open and he had to move. He had to adjust. So I think what they're doing, General and Jeff, is just protecting him from bodies around him in the pocket. When you have a 7-on-7, no defensive line, no offensive line. So you're not there's not bodies around you, and I think that's what they're just protecting him from. So that's why he's throwing. Just to make sure that nobody misses a block and he gets bumped into, or someone the offensive lineman fall on the ground and then he gets rolled up on. They're just trying to prevent that right now.
All righty.
But in the drills, I will say this about Dak. When you watch him roll, and it was interesting because they had him doing the rolls both to the right and to the left, and there's going to need some work there. It's not normally what you see from a Dak Prescott, his ability to get to the outside. I'm not saying there's a limp or a hitch or anything like that. He's just going to have to become more comfortable in that setting of when I have to. Now, they did a drill where he went through the bags, high knee through the bags, then rolled to his right and made a throw. I felt like the more he got into the practice, the better his movement was. I felt like early in the practice, there were some times where he went to the edge, the movement to get to the left or to the right, where he was fighting himself a little bit. He's like, okay, I'm going to get out here. I'm fighting it. And he gets out there, but he was making an accurate throw. And so I just felt like, though, as the practice wore on, it's like he became a little bit more, there was a little bit more bend to him when he was having to move around. There was some times in the 7-on-7 stuff where he had to move around, and that was fine. So I think initially, it was kind of like you could tell there was probably that little bit of that rust there. But as the practice wore on, I felt like he was more comfortable when he had to make those movement throws. And so I thought that was a pretty positive sign for him. And the throws were accurate too. Left throw accurate, good spot. Right throw, pretty good spot as well. He did have a throw in 7-on-7 that he had some contested throws. And that was, I think, a lot of it. I thought the cornerbacks, particularly if you look at, these guys as the starters when we're talking about Anthony Brown was the starter at left corner. Diggs was the starter at right. They had our Lewis at the nickel, not playing any safety. But those three guys did a pretty darn good job of covering up CD. He tried to force a ball into CD on a break, like the pocket broke down, and he created the breakdown because nobody was open. So he tried to send Lamb deep to separate, and Deontay Burton was running with Lamb on the escape, and Dak threw the ball short, and it was intercepted by Burton right in front. Lamb had a little bit of separation, but Dak just couldn't get the ball all the way out there to him. That was really the only throw where I felt like that Dak was not as good as he needed to be. Of course, it was intercepted, but it wasn't as good throw on the move that I'd seen before.
The throw on the move, I think, is a big piece of his game. It's important to track. Was there any hitch in his giddy up or any awkwardness in the way that he ran?
No, and it's actually and I'm glad you asked that question, General, because there was a couple of times where they worked him under center, and when he's hitting that like that, the 3-step or the 4-step drop, he's got it in that second step. You've got to gain ground to get back so you can plant your back foot and then let it fly. And so coming away from center, 2 good quick steps, a 3rd step to gain distance, and then once it got planted, ball was out.
Nice.
So that part of it driving, not all his throws today were from shotgun formation. They had him underneath center, driving for depth, planting, and then throwing the football. And he was able to make a couple of good throws out of that. So I was, it didn't look like to me, only initially, the first couple of movements to me were where I was like going, he's fighting it a little bit right now. And then it's like, okay, maybe things were loosening up for him, and maybe a little bit more confidence that, okay, I can get out there, I can make that throw. Because you're right, that's a huge part of his game.
Who's the starting linebackers?
At this particular time, it was Van Der Esch and it was Smith.
What was Parsons up to?
Parsons was not the starter. Matter of fact, Parsons and then Cox were brought in late. And then when they went to the nickel, they kept Jalen Smith on the field, took Van Der Esch off, and put Keanu Neal as the nickel linebacker.
Huh.
So they were rotating all the linebackers, but Jalen Smith was the one guy that was in the majority of the snaps of the packages they had, whether it was base or whether it was their nickel package stuff.
Gross.
So that's, but it was, so like I was talking
New coaches want to take a long look at things, they probably want to see what they're
Yeah, I mean, they want to, they definitely want to look at things. I felt overall though, like when you watch the defensive line, I was really impressed with Chauncey Goldston. Here's a guy, they're playing him. He's a rookie out of Iowa. They're playing him because of no Lawrence. They were playing him at left defensive end. Now the starter at left defensive end ahead of Golston was Brent Urban, who they got from the Bears. He was the starter because there was no Lawrence. So they put Urban at the left end, and then when he got subbed out, when they went to nickel, they put Golston in there, and he played as a stand-up position, but so did Terrell Basham as well. Basham played as a guy they got from the Jets. They played him as a stand-up left defensive end, and he was able to create some pressure off that edge. Again, the 2 offensive tackles not participating in the team part of this drill, but I thought it was a pretty good job of those guys getting pressure off that edge. And then again, I liked what I was able to see. Reggie Robinson, they've got him playing cornerback. Remember, Reggie was a 4th-round pick in 2020. They've got him playing as a cornerback, and he was able to knock down a pass too. Michael Gallup tried to run a route and then come back down, kind of run an out route, and what happened, Reggie Robinson drove underneath the play, was able to play the ball with his offhand and knock it down. So he had a couple of plays that he was able to make. Jeff, you always ask me about the safeties and stuff, though. Kazee, they had him as the starting safety. What was funny is they also had, let me check my notes here as well. They had Jaron Kearse as a starter as well. And Jaron Kearse is a guy that they got as a free agent from Clemson. Or excuse me, he was from Clemson from the previous draft, but he's a guy they signed off the street. So he got an opportunity along. Donovan Wilson was running with the 2s, but they were rotating all those guys. Right, the corner also got work on the left side as well. So they're doing a lot of things rotating, but the veteran guys from what we saw were getting the work over the guys that the rookies, the guys like Kelvin Joseph and people like that.
Except for Donovan Wilson. He wasn't a veteran guy.
No, he was not a veteran.
Do you read into that?
No, I think what they're doing, I think that maybe it might be one of those things where if we watched all 3 practices, we would probably see like, okay, you're starting this practice, the next guy starts the next day, and then they just keep. But it's a pretty good way of rotating things in and out, especially on the defense. They got a lot of good work out of it today.